D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, wow, Shazam 2 is a good movie. And not only that, it's a good family movie. So I took my son, and what a superb afternoon at the theater. I saw the movie, and I loved it. I laughed out loud at times, and I got teary-eyed at other times. And they transported me into a new world, and I completely forgot that I was sitting in a theater. And I think that that's what this movie is. I think that that's great for what this movie did for me personally. Not okay, so this movie is dark still, like the first one. It's not as dark as the first movie. Now, I didn't have time to watch the first movie with my son before we went and seen this one, but I did have him watch a couple of scenes from the first movie to see if he would get too scared, because I didn't know if it was gonna be the same in terms of tone. And I have to say that this movie did not disappoint, but I didn't feel it was as dark as the first one. That boardroom scene from the first movie where the demons pop out, my son got scared while watching that one. But I feel that the equivalent is the opening scene where Calypso and Hespera attack those tourists at the Athens Museum. And it wasn't really what I felt was as dark. Like, I felt that boardroom scene was a lot darker in terms of everything. Another pretty dark moment is when, and my son didn't understand what was going on because he's 5, is when Freddy's teacher gets like corrupted by Calypso because she's got that chaos power, which we'll talk about later. He ends up ending himself by jumping off of the roof of their school. And I'll go through their powers in a minute and everything. So the plot of this movie, if you remember from the first film, at the end, Billy snaps the staff in half, and he actually breaks a barrier between the gods' world and our world, which allows the daughters of Atlas to come to our world to get the staff so they can find the golden apple to bring back the tree of life and bring life back to their dying world. And of course, craziness ensues, and the Shazam family then have to defeat the daughters of Atlas. I love Greek mythology, so although there's more than there's more than 3 daughters of Atlas. I believe there's 9 or 7. I can't remember. And then there is a dragon in this movie that protects the tree and the golden apples. And in this one, there is a dragon who protects the garden and stuff. But it's a lot different. Like, they play very loose with Greek mythology, but it's kind of like one of those things, like, you hear about it and then you kind of tell the tale and it gets told over so many times that nobody remembers the original one, kind of thing. All right, so let's talk about the characters. Speaking of the daughters of Atlas, let's talk about that. Now, first off, I really don't understand their powers per se. I mean, Hesperia, she controls the elements, and at that beginning scene in Athens, she does turn them all the tourists, she does turn them all into stone. Calypso, she like whispers into their ear, and then they all go crazy and start attacking each other, and then she turns them all into stone. And I was like, okay, I kind of got that one. But then she creates the force field around the city to stop anybody from leaving. And I'm like, how is that elemental, related? It was just a little weird. I mean, she does burn the bars. It was like fire. And I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense too. I guess the only thing I didn't really understand was the force field that she created. Calypso has this like chaos powers where she like whispers into your ear and she like corrupts your mind until you do what she says to do, kind of thing. And Freddy does show that he has a lot of strength when it comes to resisting that kind of thing. Not imperviable, but he does have a lot of strength. And then you have Anthea, or Anne. And she has like these inception powers where she makes everything go all wonky and everything. I didn't understand her powers either. Like, I was like, I don't get this, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so let's talk about these sisters. So first off, Hesperia, played by Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren is on top of her game, yo. She brings this character, and she brings like everything to it again, and she also brings a legitimacy to this films in terms of talent. However, she recently said not to ask her about what this movie, or like what the plot of this movie is, because she didn't know, which makes me think she didn't read the whole script. She just read the pages that her lines were on, which is fine. And because she sold it. She sold it. She was great. And as the leader of the sister, she definitely was the powerhouse that she puts out there in the movie. And she is said to be quite controlling out of all three sisters. She's also quite funny. Her reading of Shazam's letter, I thought she pulled that scene off very well. And then we have Calypso. I have to be honest, Lucy Liu in this movie didn't do the greatest job. I don't think Lucy Liu is a bad actress. I just don't think that she's at the level of Helen Mirren. So I think that standing next to her in this movie kind of put her in a bad light. I also think her final reveal as the daughter that wants to destroy Earth instead of bringing life to her own world was a little too predictable, but I still enjoyed it. Anthea, or Anne, played by Rachel Zegler. This was kind of the nice sister out of all three of them. And she wanted to bring the golden apple back to the God's world and bring the tree of life back and bring life back to her world, which was clearly, the God's world realm or whatever was gross and everything. However, I don't think that Rachel Zegler is also the best actress either. It's not that she's bad. It's just she's not the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Rachel Zegler, by the way, on the red carpet, she had said that she took this movie because she needed a job. And I was like, oh, okay. Why don't you say some nice things about this? All right, so let's talk about the Shazam family. All right, Shazam. Zachary Levi really holds this movie together. Not only does he pull off the comedic parts of this movie, which I think that we all know him for, but I also think that he brings the emotional parts. That third act battle sequence right beforehand, I really felt I got teary-eyed during that part. I don't know about you, but I really felt that he brought the emotion, and that I think that this scene really needed. And I'll talk about that scene when we talk about the action sequences. But he did a really great job throughout this entire movie and all that. All right, yeah, Asher Angel. He did a good job as Billy Batson. Although Billy Batson wasn't in this very much. He was only in it for like, I'll say, a handful of scenes, but he did a great job. The part at the end where he was talking to the mom, and he was like, "Listen, I know I turn 18 in a couple months, and I age out of the foster care system." And he was talking to Rosa and Victor in a way. But Marta Milans, she did a great job, and both of these two brought that scene home. But she's all like, and she was all like, she's like, you could never age out of your home. And I was like, I was just like, oh my gosh. I was all like teary-eyed, because I was like, that's a great, like, I feel, side note, I have two kids, a son and a daughter, but I'll tell you right now, they can live with me as long as they want, rent free. I will never make them leave if they don't want to. I mean, eventually I'll be like, don't you want to like get out of here, but I will never make them leave. Mary Shazam, we'll just call her Shazam. She did a good job also. I have to say right now that Grace Caroline Curry played her throughout the entire movie. And in the original one, Michelle Borth played the adult version. They kind of explained it away. What really happened was, because there's a lot of controversy with some of these people, and I want to talk about them. But Michelle Borth had done on Instagram or tweeted or something like that, where she had talked about that woman that had died on January 2nd or 6th. She had said something about, she's like, I didn't know you, but rest in peace, or some crap like that, or get fired. It's fine though. But I do think that Grace Caroline Curry did a great job as Mary. I think that she played it off well. I liked that she was conflicted because she wanted to go to college, but yes, she was also wanting to contribute to the family because she had aged out of the foster system. Okay. Freddie, now he was played by when he's Okay, he's played by Jack Dylan Grazer and Adam Brody. Adam Brody was not in this movie as much as Jack Dylan Grazer, but when Adam Brody was on the screen, he did a great job. But Jack Dylan Grazer, this kid, man, I tell you what, I would really like to see him in other things. He does such a great job in this movie, and I really think he brought it. He was funny at times. He did a great job. I just don't understand why this kid isn't getting more work. I mean, he's getting voice acting work, but so whatever. All right, so then we got Eugene, which is played by Ian Chen and Ross Butler. Now, Ross Butler is the adult version, and both of them aren't in it very much, but they do a good job. I really enjoyed their characters, and I liked how he was having Billy play video games to try to teach him teamwork and everything. All right, then we get Pedro Pena, or Pedro, which is played by Jovan Armand as the younger version, and then DJ Cotorna. I don't know how to say his last name, whatever. Which both of them did a good job, and then he is the gay character of this movie, and they kind of touch on it in the first one, but in this one they just come out and say it. They rush into the bedroom of the parents. They're like, all right, we have something to admit to yourself, and everybody's like, we're a superhero, and he says, I'm gay, and they all look at him and they're like, yeah, we know, dude. And he's like, everybody. He's like, yeah, and they're like, yeah, it's okay, dude. And I think that they handled that very well. Okay, so then let's talk about Darla. Darla was great. Megan Good wasn't in it as much as Faith Herman, but Darla, I mean, you can obviously tell these kids are getting older, like way older, but she did a great job, both of them. I really enjoyed it, and I love Darla. I loved when she was given the unicorn Skittles, and we'll talk about that when we get to the creatures portion. All right, and last one I talk about this, as far as character goes, is the wizard, played by Digimon Hansu, and the wizard in this was great. He was funny. I'm glad they brought this character back because Digimon Hansu does a great job. I mean, man, does he do comedy well. It was very well done. I enjoyed this character, and he's still going to be around, so hopefully we see him again if there is another one of these, and I'll talk about that towards the end as we get on. So now I want to talk about the action sequences. So the first action sequence was the bridge action sequence. And I thought this was great because I thought it showed the Shazam family working together as a team and doing everything that, what they were supposed to do and everything. One person was saving all the people while one person was stopping all the cars from falling into the water, while one person was trying to fix those little wire strand thingies, which are a lot thicker than you think. That's what she said. But I thought that bridge sequence was great. Next, I want to talk about them versus the sisters. So they get the letter from the Shazam family, from Billy, which was great. And then they meet as a truce. And they meet at the little hamburger shack, but they get the Philly cheesesteak and french fries and everything. And that's when he does you won't understand, family. And then they all show up and there's like a fight. Because she's like, you forgot about my family. And so they all show up and there's a big fight and Hespera gets taken down. And then she gets taken back to the Shazam's house where she then gets the golden apple because it's in their library, and she takes it back to her realm, which I thought was very clever because I didn't even think about that. All right, now I want to talk about the third act fight sequence. Okay, first off, the monsters. The visual effects on this were pretty good. I mean, I think this was $100 million to make, and it was cheaper than a lot of these other movies, and I thought it looked better than a lot of these other movies, like CGI, in terms of CGI. I thought the monsters looked really, really good. Those unicorns, which, by the way, I loved how they had this. They ate Skittles because it was the closest thing our world has to ambrosia. But I loved how the unicorns were the scariest creatures, that all the creatures were scared of unicorns. I thought that was great. And then I also thought the creatures were really good when Calypso plants that apple in that baseball field, and then a tree of life pops up, and then all of a sudden you see these vines come through, and then they've got these little sacks, which my son called bubbles. And then the monsters break out, and you had like harpies and chimeras and cyclops and minotaurs. And I love how David S. Sandberg, the director, he he had a cameo where he got picked up and thrown by a harpy. That was pretty fun. And I also thought that the dragon looked pretty good. I mean, it was made of wood, but that's fine. But I really thought that the dragon was really good, and I think played a really great part. Now, in terms of the final battle between Calypso and the dragon and Shazam, I thought it was really, really good. I thought that Zachary Levi did a great job, especially when he's like shooting off lightning bolts and he's like, I just have to overpower the staff or whatever and it'll explode kind of thing. And Hespera at this point had been, betrayed. So she got stabbed and she was going to die. But I thought that this final battle was really, really good, and it was really well done in every way, shape, and form. And I thought that when Shazam died, I thought that it was really heartfelt when Freddy finds him and he calls him an asshole because he died. And he's like, and he kept saying, all or nothing. And I mean, like, that was just so, like, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I mean, like, I didn't cry. I got like all teary-eyed and everything, kind of like I am right now, because it was really sad, but it was so touching. Like, it really enforced the family aspect of it. And family is not only the family that you have, it's the family that you create. And even though all of them were foster kids and their parents weren't, blood, they were still family. And I really loved that about that. I love that about this franchise and this movie. And I really, really thought it was great. Okay. So now I want to talk about the Wonder Woman cameo. Now they put this in the TV spot for it. I didn't have a problem with it. I guess some people did, but I was like, whatever. I'm going to go see this movie no matter what. So whatever. But the first one was you only saw the back of her. And then when she turned around, because it was a dream sequence, the wizard had transported his face onto her face. And I thought that part was pretty funny. I like giggled a little bit. I thought it was pretty funny. And then when she shows up at the end to bring the Tree of Life back to life and to bring Shazam back, I thought that was I thought it was pretty good. I did wonder this whole time, since it had to deal with like Greek mythology, why Wonder Woman didn't play more of a part in it. But at the same time, it was fine because I thought it worked well. They were like, the only one that can do this is a god, and she's like, thank goodness there's still one left or whatever. And so I thought that was really good. And it makes me wonder if she brought back Shazam and she gave back Anthea's powers, why couldn't she bring back other gods? I mean, because I think having the gods around was really an interesting concept. And I would have liked to have seen more, but I guess they're all gone now, so we won't ever see them anymore. All right, so in terms of the end credit scene, so the first end credit scene, we get Amelia Harcourt and John Economos, I think that's how you say his name, and they are sent to recruit Billy / Shazam for Amanda Waller's Justice Society. Now, I don't know if this means that he will be in the Waller TV show, but I think it would be interesting to see him with Hawkman and maybe a new Dr. Fate and then Cyclone and the Atom Smasher, the whatever. I think it would be interesting, but we won't get to see that because this is where this is ending. I think this is part of the Snyderverse. I'm not quite sure, but I think this is where it's ending. So we'll see if that plays into anything. I mean, it would be interesting to see Shazam in the Waller show. So we'll see. Although I think they're going to do the trial of Amanda Waller for that Waller show. That would be the cheaper route than doing a whole Justice Society show. I don't know, man. And then we have the post-credit scene where Mr. Mind comes back to Savannah's cell where he's been sitting for 2 years, and it's kind of plays off as a joke where he's all like, I've been doing my plan, but it takes me a lot longer to get there because I have to crawl, and I'm a centipede or whatever. He's not a centipede, like a worm. But in the comic books, and then I did laugh when he goes, but I have one more thing to do. And he just like crawls away. And I laughed at that because I was like, that's funny. So he's got to sit there for another 2 years. But he's like, in the comic books, he has these telepathic powers and he can take over people's minds. So he could just take over somebody's mind and have them pick him up and just have them walk him places. I'm just curious as to why they didn't think about that or do that, but it's fine. I do think that these characters can go forward in the gun verse. They've had very little action or interaction with characters from the Snyderverse / the DCEU. We only got the cameo with Superman from the first movie, and then the cameo of Wonder Woman from this movie. So I think that these characters can go on in the Gunverse if he wanted to have them, and I think he should have them. I think these are good characters, and I do think the movies that they're in are pretty good. So in conclusion, this was such a good movie. David S. Sandberg delivered a solid sequel, and Zachary Levi and the rest of the cast of Shazam! Fury of the Gods delivered such an emotional, heartwarming, and adventurous follow-up to the first one. I really hope that these actors and characters stick around, and they totally could, because they've had very little interaction with the other DC characters. And that is my review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It is in theaters now. I suggest you guys go see it. And if you do, tell me what was your favorite part? Who's your favorite character? How did you feel about the emotional parts? All that good. Did you get teary-eyed like me, or are you a big, solid man? Tell me what you guys think about which was your favorite sister? All that good stuff. Tell me what you guys think. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on my next movie review. You guys have a good day. Shazam!